Mr. Chair, after you get it going, I'd request the floor for a moment after you get it all set, but before we get into actually items on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair, we're all set.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good morning. The online meeting of the Windward Planning Commission will now come to order. It's Thursday, December 2nd, 2021, and the time is 9:03 a.m. Based on the governor's emergency proclamation related to COVID-19, we are, excuse me, we are holding this meeting online. This is to maintain physical distancing and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The public can observe this meeting on YouTube live stream following the link provided on the county website calendar or by using the URL advertised on the agenda. The video recording will be available on the same YouTube channel. The minutes and transcripts will be posted on the county website at a later date. I'd like to remind all participants the protocol for this meeting. Silence your phones and other devices near you. Only one person may speak at a time, so raise your hand to be recognized by the chair before you speak. Speak directly into your microphone and keep your microphones muted while you are not speaking. If you talk over each other or your microphones pick up noise, the dialogue cannot be transcribed. Thank you. I will introduce, with that, I'd like to introduce my fellow commissioners. Please raise your hand when you are called. Commissioner Dean Au, Commissioner Gilbert Aguinaldo, Commissioner Joseph Clarkson, Commissioner Michelle Galimba, Commissioner Thomas Rapaphy, and I am Chairperson John Replogle. Commissioner Lynn will not be in attendance and is excused. We do have a quorum to hold this meeting. The terms of Commissioner Clarkson, Commissioner Rapaphy, and I will end on December 31st, 2021, and we have all agreed to hold over for 3 months or until a replacement can be found. Director Kern will take the floor now.
Thank you, Chair. Zendo Kern, Planning Director here. Wanted to take this moment to really show appreciation to the three of you, Commissioner Clarkson, Commissioner Rapaphy, and Chair Replogle. It's been 5 years. It's been quite a long journey. Been many serious decisions, many hard decisions that have been made. I've had the opportunity to work with you folks from both sides of the desk, and it's been a great pleasure and privilege to do so. Also have the opportunity to have previously served, so know what it means. And just really want a heartfelt thank you to all three of you from the mayor's office, from our staff, from our team members. I know our team, it's been an absolute pleasure working with all three of you. While we may not always agree, we've always done it in very good decorum and really appreciate that. And just again, really want to appreciate that. I'm going to throw up a couple certificates of appreciation on the screen just to show you guys. The original copies are in the mail or being presented to you folks. These are certificates of appreciation from the mayor. I will start with Commissioner Clarkson's. So I'm digitally presenting this to you, Commissioner Clarkson. No, wrong one. I'm digitally presenting Commissioner Rapaphy's to you at the moment, but that's not going to. Let's try this one. Is that showing?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So Commissioner Clarkson, I'd like to digitally present this certificate of appreciation to you. Thank you very much for your service. It's been a great pleasure and opportunity to work with you on both sides of the equation. Wishing you all the very best. If you'd like to say anything, I know you're going to be holding over, going to be moving forward. So this is the last we see you, but if you'd like to say something, please do so.
Well, thank you for the certificate of appreciation. And it's been a very enjoyable, actually for me, almost 6 years, because I filled out a last part of another commissioner's term. And it's been great working with everyone. I mean, I don't know why people aren't just beating down the doors to join these commissions.
Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, people that actually, I'm retired, so that makes a difference, but it's been very, very valuable to me and very interesting. And I don't know how, if or when I would ever even be reconsidered. I know Dee now has been on the commission before. I don't know how long you have to be gone before they can ask you back, but consider me, please.
Excellent. We appreciate your service. You got to wait one term or thereof. It could be a shorter one and come back around. Also like to suggest that there are other boards and commissions if you'd like to continue your service and some other areas potentially. So thank you so much, Commissioner Clarkson. I will stop sharing that one and do this one. Okay, can you see that?
Okay. Yes.
I'd like to digitally present this to Commissioner Rafferty on behalf of the mayor's office, all of our entire team, the planning department, and myself. Sincerely appreciate you for all your service and all that you've done. And a copy of this is in the mail. And I'll turn the floor over to you if you'd like to share any words.
Thank you, Director, and thank you, thank you, Mayor, for the certificate. And I'd like to thank the staff. The staff really made everything. They're the backbone of what we're doing. So thank you to all the staff. They have been very patient, have been very helpful. This has been a very good learning opportunity for me. Planning Commission was it's the first commission that I'm on. I had wanted to serve the local community after retiring from military service 32 years. So I decided to do something at least just to help our local community. And yeah, it's been a good learning experience for me. And yeah, it's been wonderful working with all the board members. We've had some disagreements, but we're always very cordial about it. So I appreciate it. Again, thank you to staff. Happy holidays to all of you staff. You made our job very easy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Rafferty. I appreciate the appreciation for the staff. They are awesome, and appreciate you for all of your service, previous and continued. And finally, okay, I'd like to digitally present this certificate of appreciation to Chair Rapogel on behalf of the mayor's office, the planning department, our entire staff, and myself. Really sincerely appreciate you for all of your service and diligence with our community, as well as the holdover. I want to thank everybody for the holdover afterwards, but just again, much appreciation for the service and the diligence. And it's been fun working with you as chair this last little while. Been awesome. So I'd like to turn the floor back over to you if you'd like to say any words.
Thank you, Zendo. I would like to say thank you to the staff for all their support. I couldn't have pulled this off without it. And I really have enjoyed my fellow commissioners immensely, even though I'll be known as the point of order chairman. But thank you for that. It makes it makes it fun. And the only disappointment I have about this is I'm not getting a kiss today, Zendo. With that, let's continue the meeting.
Thank you, Chair Repogal. No comments, but we do appreciate your dedication and your service. Also want to throw out the appreciation for all three of you holding over. And again, really for the dedication and thought that goes into this. It's a lot of work. So with that, I will turn it all the way back over to you, Chair Repogal. Thank you all very much, and happy holidays to you all, to everybody here and everybody watching. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will introduce the staff now. And Deputy Corporation Counsel, Malia Kekai, attorney for the commission. Deputy Corporation Counsel, Jean Campbell, attorney for the planning department. Planning Director, Zendo Kern, who you've seen. Planner Eric Cook. Planning Program Manager, Maya Jackson. And Windward Planning Commission Secretary, Melissa Dakayanan Salvador. And Planner, Mr. Christian K. Commissioners, I trust you have received and reviewed the minutes of the November 4, 2021 meeting. May I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second.
It was moved, I'm sorry, I didn't, by Commissioner Rapafi and seconded by Commissioner Aguinaldo. Any discussions or corrections? All those in favor, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are accepted. So we move on to, we have 3 testifiers registered to give oral testimony on item number 1, Raja Degula, Res 21-00249/PL-Res-2021-00007. We have Joan Clark, Aubrey Hawk, and Evelyn White. If everybody could turn their cameras on, I will swear you in together. Please raise your right hand. Hands. Do you swear to affirm to tell the truth before the Windward Planning Commission? Please state your name and the town you live in prior to your testimony.
Yes. Aubrey Hawk. Oh, later. Okay. Yes, I do.
Everybody good? Okay. Please limit your testimony to 3 minutes and not be repetitive. Staff will let you know at 2.5 minutes by ringing a bell. If you've submitted written testimony, there's no need to read the testimony you submitted, but you are welcome to summarize and update your testimony now. After your testimony, commissioners may have questions for you. If there are no questions or questions have concluded, please log out of Zoom platform and switch to the YouTube channel if you wish to observe the meeting. Okay? So we will start with John Clark. Mr. Clark,
Mr.
I
Clark, you're
can't-
on mute.
you're muted. Where did he go? Oh, there you are. You're muted. I don't know if you can hear us.
If you're having a hard time on your phone, *6 sometimes works to unmute.
You're still mute. Don't stress. Why don't we go on to the next person while you figure this, try work it out. And you may speak when you're ready. So we'll move to Aubrey Hawk.
Aloha, commissioners. Thank you so much for this opportunity to testify regarding the application of Raja Degula to change its zone from RS20 to CV10. I am a resident of Volcano Village, and I also serve as an officer on the board of the Volcano Community Association. I also serve as a member of the board of directors of the Friends of Volcano School of Arts and Sciences, and I am a volunteer instructor at that school for the international program Roots of Empathy. I am opposed to this application. Our community, at least those of us who've been lucky enough to find out about this issue, we feel blindsided by what we see as a very sneaky attempt to circumvent Hawaii County's new law pertaining to vacation rentals in residential communities. I believe any rezoning to commercial in this area, if it happens at all, should be for the general benefit of the community and not to line the pockets of one non-resident developer. Perhaps it had been technically possible and technically legal to change zones to commercial in this area and add yet another lodging facility to our small village, but it certainly does not adhere to the spirit of the new vacation rental law, which was designed specifically to stop the proliferation of vacation rentals in residential communities. We are a small, quiet, rural community. Though we may lack the resources and inside knowledge that allow this developer to hire consultants, both of whom are former high-level employees of the planning department, we do know what is right. And it is neither ethical nor pono to bring this absentee-owned vacation rental into our community. I implore you, please do not approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Clark, can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Oh, great. Yeah, aloha to everyone. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I'm going to keep it very short. She just articulated pretty much what I wanted to say. This is wrong. This is wrong. This guy's coming in here, bought the lot. I'm John Clark. I live in Volcano. I own the property directly behind the applicant. I own 2 lots back there. The whole thing with rezoning it commercial so that he can come in and put a mini hotel, which is exactly what he wants to do. That's exactly what he wants to do. If you've seen the plans, you can see it. The septic system alone is going to be a nightmare. I feel sorry for Kilauea Lodge when that hammering starts. I think you all need to do the right thing. As she said, be pono. The kuleana is no. You bought this property. You're going to come in and say, well, you know, I'm just going to rezone it and then throw my hotel on it. Nah, I think you all need to be strong. Disapprove it and just say no. I'm all for development, but not this. Aloha, and thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, sir. And we will go to our last testifier, Evelyn White.
Aloha, commissioners. My name is Evelyn White. I live in Volcano in the Ahupua'a, of course. Mahalo for this opportunity to provide testimony on the Degula Kapur commercial rezoning request. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and other Volcano residents who were not able to testify today. These include Kalina Blakemore and her family, Jill Briggs, and Eileen Told Deresevic. I am, and we are, opposed to this application to convert a thickly forested residential zone property to commercial zoning in order to circumvent short-term vacation rental laws. Calling it a hosted rental in the revised application does not change or disguise the developer's intent to create a vacation rental facility on a residential lot that our community does not want or need. This is a form of spot zoning, which changes the zoning for one piece of land while the other land around it remains the same. This benefits only the non-resident landowner who wants commercial development, while negatively impacting neighbors who have chosen to live in a residential forested area. People in our community value the native forest and the irreplaceable natural resources found here. Those values are also reflected in the Puna Community Development Plan and the Volcano Long Range Plan, which, while not legally, as I understand it, not legally binding, are strong recommendations that represent community voices across Puna. What we want when we have development is development that benefits our local community, that benefits the people that live here, that preserves as much as possible, given that humans are living in it, the native forest, which is home to endangered birds and plants and species found nowhere else on the planet. This proposed project is counter to these values, and it doesn't appear to have any local benefit, maybe 1 or 2 jobs, and that's not enough to make up for the incredible loss. Allowing one landowner to spot zone for their own profit sets a dangerous precedent that could further harm our community, both up here in Volcano and throughout the Puna district, as more and more people move here and look here for business opportunities. I and we strongly urge you to reject this application. Mahalo for your consideration.
Thank you. Ms. White. Are there questions from the commissioners for the testifiers? Mr. Clarkson, you're muted though. Okay.
Yeah. This could actually be for all 3 of you. You know, the rezone, if it's approved, does not limit the use of the property to just the applicant's intentions now. As if the property is rezoned, anything that is permissible in that zone could be developed. And you all have mentioned the lack of a benefit to the community. Are there kinds of commercial enterprises that would be acceptable in this location? I'm just thinking of a store or a post office. What are the kinds of things that you would find acceptable rather than the proposed vacation rental?
I could answer that, Mr. Clarkson. Thank you for the question. Anything but a short-term vacation rental is the short answer. Our community could use a veterinarian, a pharmacy, a doctor's clinic. We have many older residents here who now have to travel all the way down to Kilauea or down to Kau for their medical care. We could use a gathering area, an art bookstore, coffee shop that would be a place where the community could come together, a gourmet store or a produce market. The list goes on. It's basically anything that would be allowable in a commercial district, perhaps not a Starbucks or a 7-Eleven, but something that is in line with the look and feel and historic nature of our village, and that our community could come, all of us here, the several thousand that live up here could come and take part in.
Chair, I think
Okay,
she
we
froze.
lost her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would
Ms.
result in
White,
them not
you're-
having to make.
Oh, she's back.
Yeah, I froze there for a minute. Am I here?
Yes, you're here again.
Okay, sorry. Was there did you not catch that, or was there a question?
I
think I got the gist of your response. So
Okay.
thank you for that.
Yeah,
and
if I might just add, sir, the nature of the process for this issue to come before the community, just the way it's designed with the 3x3 sign nailed to a mature ohia tree, I might add. It's the community needs to have more input, and I understand that we do have future opportunities, but before that precious residential lot is changed to commercial, if it is changed, I think we really need to have more consensus on what goes in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss White.
Hello, I'd like to comment, and these comments will be only for me. I personally wouldn't want to see anything large developed on that particular lot because of the forest. I understand that nearby lots are already developed commercial, and Kilauea Lodge is right there, and there's a few stores and elsewhere. And I know that in the volcano long range plan, this area of the village was described as a potential commercial development. And we do need all those things Aubrey mentioned. So I'm not opposed to those kinds of things. Personally, I feel like as a state, frankly, let alone as an island or a small community, we need much better management of every piece of land for our natural resources, not for the development of human profit-making machines, whatever they might be, whether it's a vacation rental or even a store. And so that's my personal opinion. I think Volcano Village and in the Volcano Long Range Plan, there's a proposal for a biosphere. I think this whole region needs to be re-examined as a place that should be preserved as habitat. And as I understand the current zoning laws, not zoning laws, building codes and setback rules that have been changed recently, those require clear cutting essentially now because of the amount of setback required and the amount of land required for water tanks and septic systems. I am completely for septic systems, by the way. So I hate cesspools. They should all be banned everywhere right now, yesterday. But in our tiny little village, in this place, one of the few places remaining in the whole state that has relatively intact native forest that is home to endangered birds, endangered species found nowhere else on the planet, we should have separate building codes that allow for the preservation of this forest. And I get that there's this whole thing about standardization, and it's hard to, very difficult for a small group of people to have to, review applications for a specific area, just like other kinds of laws. But I'm personally very concerned about that. And I know this is a little bit off the subject that you asked, Mr. Clarkson, so I apologize for diverting, but this is what I'm personally passionate about. And anyway, I just wanted to share that. And I do think we as a community here in the village and across Puna need to implement something, not just have a plan, the Puna Community Development Plan or the Volcano Long Range Plan that sits on a shelf, but implement it, put it into law so that we don't have this kind of thing. And so, it's got to be disappointing for the Dagula Kapoor group to have thought, oh, I have this opportunity, I'm going to do it, and then have this pushback, but they didn't know. And the consultants they hired didn't understand and don't have the values that I have, clearly, or they wouldn't have approved this idea of changing the zoning. So I feel like that's an important next step. Although, again, I apologize for going off subject a little bit. I'm passionate about this and I'm really concerned about that. So I guess that's all I'll say right now. Thank you very much for letting me share.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners?
Chair Clark.
Yes,
Chair,
Mr. Howell.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so this question actually can go to all three testifiers. In the background report that we received, I'm looking at a letter from the association. By any chance, are any of you three testifiers are you part of the association?
I am Aubrey Hawk. I'm secretary of the Volcano Community Association.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to know, and I'm assuming that the applicant is going to address the meetings and some of the things that said, but if you want, Ms. Hawk, if you can just, kind of briefly, really short, you don't have to go on about it. Just give us the gist of what, how the association meetings went from your standpoint.
We had one meeting, which the association had hosted, and Mr. Arai, Mr. Fouquet, who are consultants for the developer, were there in person. The developer was there via Zoom, albeit with a bad connection. Several other community members were there via Zoom, and about 10 of us VCA board members and neighbors and community members were there in person. It was a bit of a chaotic meeting. It was designed just to sort of be a dialogue building, let's just talk story and share what it is we want to do. But the bottom line is we are opposed to rezoning from residential to commercial for the purpose of bringing in any type of vacation lodging, hotel, motel facility. We as a community believe that the county law that was just recently passed, it actually caused a lot of longtime residents who were whose livelihood was to operate small B&Bs and little STVRs on their property to have to relinquish that income, even though there was no complaint from the community because of permitting or just the various things that would have allowed them to maintain and be grandfathered in. Now we see an outside non-resident developer with absolutely no connection to Hawaii, let alone to Volcano Village, looking to kind of get around that law because they've been able to pay the right people and bring in another STVR, which we've all agreed we simply do not need in Volcano Village. There are hundreds of opportunities and places for people to stay. So that was kind of what the VCA, that's where our position stems from. Secondarily, we are very concerned with larger clear-cutting type developments on this particular lot, which is relatively very thickly forested on that whole old Volcano Road that could potentially be converted to commercial. That is probably actually the most forested lot. So those are some really old ohia trees and haupu'u fern that are in there. Once those are gone, they are gone. And we have determined, the Puna community has determined that it's very important to maintain that canopy so that our native birds can do their overflights up country. So that was the secondary point of the VCA. And this project, there's just no way around those 2 points, no matter how they keep trying to tweak it or call it a hosted or say, oh, we're going to preserve the trees. We know that the plans that they have don't have to be adhered to once this commercial zoning would be approved. Does that answer for you?
Thank you. Anything else, commissioners? I have a question, and all three of you are welcome to answer it. Don't your communities up there have a system for homeowners to place their properties in conservation easements as they sell them? So as an example, you have cleared, built your home, saving as much of the forest as possible. When you sell it, you can put a conservation easement on it that will protect the trees. And I ask this because it goes to what all three of you have been saying regarding protecting this native forest. Any one of you could answer that.
I can answer.
Okay.
Well, I know that there's obviously this opportunity. This is available to anyone who wants to do it via the Hawaii Land Trust, I believe. And we currently have 7 properties who have done that so far in Volcano. I'm curious though, how does this pertain to the current issue application that we're talking about?
I think it pertains to it in terms of what people in your community think about your forest and what you've all been saying.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to know if that was, in fact, did happen. I heard about it several years ago, and I think it may have even
yeah.
started in Mauna Loa Estates.
Okay. Yeah, I know that several people have done that. But it's probably not the kind of thing that maybe someone of a lot of means and, know-how and extremely passionate about the environment would seek out. I don't think it's something that everyone knows about, but I am proud that we do have a handful of people who have done that in the village. One of them is right across the road from me.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Okay. I will hear a motion to close public testimony.
So
Mr.
moved.
Clarkson. Mr. Clarkson moved.
A
Second.
Dean Au has seconded. All those in favor of closing the public testimony, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed? The ayes have it. We're closing it. So we'll move on to new business now. Oh, now is when you would go on to YouTube if you wish to continue watching the hearing. New business, the applicant, Raja Dagula, Res 21-00249/Res-2021-00007. The application for a change of zone from single family 20,000 square feet Res 20 to village commercial 10,000 square feet CV-10 zoning district for approximately 36,373 square feet of land. The subject property is located on the north side of Old Volcano Road, approximately 335 feet west of its intersection with Wright Road, Ola'a Summer Lots, Block B, Lot 12B, Puna, Hawaii, TMK 31-9-004051. So we will now have staff will do a presentation. Eric Cook is a planner for this presentation.
Chair Replogle, if I could speak super briefly for one moment.
Yes,
Um,
I can't see who it is.
Sorry, good morning, everyone. This is Jean.
Okay, okay.
Out of an abundance of caution, I would just like to disclose that I live in Volcano Village, not far from this property. As Deputy Corporation Counsel representing the Planning Department, I'm not actually involved in any of the decision-making in this project or in this process, so there is no conflict, but I did just want to put this on the record. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Okay. Eric Cook, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Commissioners. If you give me just one moment here, I will get my presentation up and share my screen. Okay, is everyone able to see?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as previously mentioned, this application is for a change of zone. And with that, I will get right into the presentation. Here we have the location map. The subject property is denoted with a red star. The subject property is located in Volcano Village within the Puna District. Running through the center of the map here, you see Highway 11. Just to give you an idea of where it is, it's right in the center of Volcano Village. So the applicant is requesting a change of zone from a single-family residential 20,000 square feet to a village commercial 10,000 square feet zoning district. The applicant proposes to establish a 3-unit hosted rental complex that will consist of one 1-bedroom dwelling, one 2-bedroom dwelling, and one 3-bedroom dwelling for a total of 6 bedrooms within the complex. This is the original site plan submitted by the applicant. The initially proposed project was for 3 unhosted STVR units, short-term vacation rental, consisting of a total of 6 bedrooms between the 3 STVR units. In response to public testimony regarding the preservation of the forest canopy and the proposed short-term vacation rental use of the site, the applicant elected to downsize the proposed project. This is the revised site plan the applicant submitted. The applicant reports that the revised site plan was intended to increase the amount of forest canopy that can be preserved in the construction process. Additionally, the applicant elected to operate as a hosted rental with a property manager living on site in response to the public testimony in opposition of the establishment of an unhosted short-term vacation rental operation in Volcano. So right here we have Hawaii County Code Chapter 25, Section 25-4-16. And this section describes the regulations surrounding short-term vacation rentals. Short-term vacation rentals are permitted in resort hotel districts, general commercial districts, as well as village commercial districts. They are also permitted in areas zoned residential or commercial that are also within the general plan resort and resort node areas. Additionally, they are allowed in multiple family residential districts for multiple family dwellings within a condominium property. Just a friendly reminder to the Commission that this request is for a change of zone and not to approve the specific project. Here we have the county zoning map. The subject property is outlined in red. The subject property, as well as the properties directly to the north and east, are zoned single-family residential, 20,000 square feet. Properties directly south of the subject parcel are zoned agricultural, 20 acres, and single-family residential, 20,000 square feet. Properties directly west of the subject parcel are zoned village commercial, 10,000 square feet, and consist of the Kilauea Lodge facilities. The state land use boundary map, the subject property and properties immediately north, east, and west are all similarly designated as urban by the state land use boundary map. Properties to the south of the subject property are similarly designated as urban as well as agricultural. The majority of the subject parcel is designated as medium density urban, which allows for village and neighborhood commercial and single family and multiple family residential and related functions. Properties directly north and east of the subject property are designated as low-density urban. Other properties to the south are designated as extensive agriculture as well as low-density urban. Medium-density urban is the only designation in this area that allows for a change of zone to village commercial, which allows for the establishment of short-term vacation rentals. This map here is pulled from the Puna Community Development Plan. The subject property, it's very small, but you can see here, is denoted in blue, and it's situated within the Volcano Community Village Center as prescribed by the Puna CDP. Per the Puna CDP, a community village center contains a variety of commercial uses, of which include bed and breakfast homes and small inns. The proposed village commercial zoning is consistent with the CDP map. So here we have a more zoomed out area of the subject area. Here we have the subject site is outlined in red. The surrounding context consists of a mix of residential and commercial uses. Several commercial businesses are in operation just west of the subject site, including Kilauea Lodge and Restaurant. Further west is the Kilauea General Store, Lava Rock Cafe, and Tai Bistro, as well as the laundromat and True Value Hardware Store. Oh, sorry. Before I move on, I'll show you. So Kilauea Lodge is here, and then down here, this is this little parcel here, that is the Kilauea General Store as well as the Lava Rock Cafe. And just a little further west of that, you see just off the photo is the Tai Bistro, and this green structure here is the laundromat facility as well as connected to the True Value Hardware Store, just to give you guys a little better idea of what you're looking at there. So we have a couple site photos here. The property is undeveloped and currently does not have a driveway connection to Old Volcano Road. The photo on the left is the property frontage along Old Volcano Road facing west. The photo on the right is the property frontage facing east. Old Volcano Road is a 2-lane county road with grassy shoulders. The private road depicted here is used by neighbors to access the property set behind the subject property. And to conclude, the planning director recommends to forward a favorable recommendation to the county council for this change of zone application. And that concludes my presentation, so I will hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Any questions from the commissioners for Mr. Cook? Mr. Clarkson?
Yes, I'd just like some clarification on the difference, could be from any member of the staff, on the difference between unhosted and hosted short-term vacation rentals, because it was my understanding that the law or the ordinance that was passed by the county council regulating short-term vacation STVRs did not apply to hosted facilities, but only to unhosted facilities. And that if the owner of the property is actually living on the property, they can do short-term vacation rentals all they want. So can somebody explain why this person even needs to do a change of zone for an STVR if they're going to host it?
So technically, it's the proposed project at this point is no longer considered an STVR. STVRs are only unhosted rentals. Once it is hosted, it's no longer considered a short-term vacation rental. That is correct that we currently do not have codes and laws in place that govern the hosted rentals. So it's not absolutely necessary that he apply for the change of zone in order to do a hosted rental. What I understand is initially they had proposed unhosted, and then from there they changed their proposal because of the testimony from the community in opposition to the unhosted rentals. Anything further than that, I would allow the applicant or their representative to answer in terms of what their intention is with the change of zone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Aguinaldo.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is for Eric. Hey, Eric, you indicated the Puno Community Development Plan within the plan for that area. It indicates that they're able to do hosted, rentals, because that's a big part of it, right? I kind of heard you indicated that it fits within those boundaries and guidelines.
So I can answer that question. So what it is fitting in within that map is that is the Volcano Community Village Center proposed, and then within the Volcano Village Community Center, the types of uses prescribed by the CDP, allowed and desired uses for that zone, includes small bed and breakfast homes and small inns. That was included as the type of business the community would be okay with having happen to develop in that area, which is the Volcano Community Village Center. And so the property lies just inside of that. It's right inside the village center boundary. And so the plan is agreeable to that type of use, but it doesn't specifically say, this property can do unhosted rentals. It's just the community, when that was created, was agreeable to those types of uses within that boundary, and the property does sit within that boundary.
Thank you.
One moment, Mr. Au.
Oh,
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Eric for that presentation, and I just want to make a comment and just to remind my fellow commissioners that, although the applicant is sharing with us, and in the application, they're informing us of their intentions. The fact of the matter is this is a rezone. So we need to look at it as the rezone. Okay, so, I just don't want to get off track here because we are getting into conversation. Let's just stay on point and let's just ask questions and keep with that we're here for a rezone. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O. Ms. Galimba, you had something?
Right, it's kind of a little bit of a follow on to Commissioner Au's comment. I wanted to just clarify. So we are considering a rezone. We do have some plans that have been presented to us. So I guess my question is, if we, so I guess first, we're not approving the plan, just the rezone. And so I wanted to ask, they would come in for their site plan and that would be approved by the department, or would they be coming back to the commission?
Chair Rep Local, I can answer that. So
Okay.
the commission would be making a recommendation on the change of zone to the county council, and the county council would decide whether to approve or deny it. Exhibit 2 of your background report shows all of the permitted uses within the CV district. So if it were approved, any of those uses could be established. There's about 49 uses that could be established on the property if it's approved. Then when they come in for what's called final plan approval, they submit that application to the planning department, and it does not go back to the commission or council. This is an administrative approval done by the department. Typically, if whatever use is proposed at that time is listed as a permitted use in the district and it meets all of the code requirements for parking, setbacks, building heights, then the department would issue the plan approval.
Thanks. So would there be any opportunities for public, discussion or input after a change of zone, this change of zone application? If it were approved by us and the council?
So currently we don't have a process in place for engaging the public with plan approvals unless there's what's called a special design district. So Pahoa Village has created a special design district. So any plan approval in Pahoa Village goes through I believe it's their Main Street Pahoa Association for feedback. I know Volcano has talked about doing that, but I do not believe that they have a design district in place at this time. So the only opportunity for community feedback would be if the commission were to recommend a condition that some type of community engagement occur before plan approval. However, that being said, once the zoning's approved, that community engagement couldn't limit the permitted uses within the district. So the extent of the community engagement would have to do with how well the structure fits into the community character rather than what the structure is used for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Clarkson.
Yes, prior to my asking my question, I'd like to have staff, Eric Cook, if he could put up the community development plan that had the dotted line that showed where the commercial center for Volcano is. And I'm hearkening back to a rezone that had a commercial activity next to other commercial activities, and I just wanted to see the context of this proposed rezoned lot. Yeah, okay, so now the other question, well, let me preface this. There looks to be a very highly developed lot right across the old Volcano Village road from this facility that's not in the commercial center. Do we know what that is? There must be a dozen buildings on the lot right across the road.
Okay, so just so I can be sure where you're talking about, where are you speaking about? You're speaking south of the
Yeah.
subject parcel?
Right, I'm right, south and kitty corner to the east. I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't in the commercial center, and it isn't, but it's or it's not in the village center boundary, but it certainly looked like some kind of commercial operation to me from the aerial photo. And Kilauea, can you show a map that shows where Kilauea Lodge is in relation to this property?
Yes, I can. Which, before I switch, you can see it in this map. The red parcel there to the just west of the blue section, which is the subject parcel. Portions of that red are Kilauea Lodge, but I can.
So there's a residential lot between this and Kilauea Lodge.
That is actually.
Real quick, Mr. Clarkson, you may remember that actually had been rezoned by Kilauea Lodge for a commercial component up front and transient accommodations behind it. And there was the condition of the frontage of the sidewalk that was being imposed, and you had actually helped work out the condition that this condition kind of reflected as far as the sidewalk component.
Okay, so this all is a prelude to my question, which is how are the neighboring commercial properties protected? In other words, do we have to put in, if we approve this rezone, conditions of the rezone, such as sound attenuating walls, landscape buffers, or does that all go with the plan approval? In other words, do we have to protect Kilauea Lodge from, say, a burger joint during this rezone approval, or does the planning department have the power to protect the neighbors with requirements for other types of commercial applications? I just wanted to look at the situation, and here you can see by the way, the picture of the parcel. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 structures on it. I'm just curious what that is, just for context of this rezone application.
Commissioner Clarkson, I can respond to that. So in the aerial photo, the structures to the southeast,
correct,
it's actually 3 separate properties.
Oh.
And it's currently zoned agricultural. So these are not commercial structures. These are probably farm dwellings and some outbuildings related to agriculture.
Thank you.
And then let's see, the second part of your request or your question about landscape buffers and sound attenuation. So the only land use I'm aware of in the zoning code that requires sound attenuation is veterinary clinics when they're doing overnight boarding. The director does have some discretion, but we don't typically condition sound attenuation for commercial structures, because the assumption is if there's adjacent lands that are also zoned commercial, you wouldn't have to buffer noise for similarly zoned properties. As far as the landscape buffer, the zoning code as well as the planning department landscape rule lays out the minimum buffers required for commercial zoning adjacent to residential zoning. So they would have to comply with that buffer requirement for landscaping. And a lot of times in situations like this where you have an existing forest or existing vegetation that's well established, folks will just leave a natural landscape buffer around their properties to comply with code.
Thank you.
Just real quick to add on to that, Commissioner Clarkson, the State Department of Health also regulates the sound decibel levels for the various uses from residential to commercial to ag. So there is that component there as well. And I'm not sure if this is maybe since we're talking about landscaping and setbacks, just want to make a clarification. It was stated earlier that new codes or that were put into place required greater setbacks or bulldozing of those. And to my knowledge, there is no such thing as that. There was new building code that was adopted, but as far as the setbacks and the current codes, they haven't changed, and no one is required to bulldoze their setbacks. They could leave those however they wanted to leave it, but there is a requirement for the setback against the property. Just wanted to provide that clarification to anybody watching. Thanks.
A question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Rappafi, please.
Staff, can you define hosted vacation rental again, please? Who's the host?
So the host of a hosted rental would be it could either be the landowner themselves, or it could be someone that they have appointed to caretake the property as well as attend to the needs of the guests. So an employee or the owner themselves.
Okay. All right, okay, because I understand the earlier discussion was the property owner, and then in your presentation, you said resident manager. So I just want to make sure that, we're covered. Thank you.
And the distinction there, Commissioner Rafferty, is that either the owner or operator has to reside on the site if they're considered a hosted rental.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Is there anything further? Any further questions?
I have one more question. Mr. Chairman.
Please, Mr. Rappafi.
Okay, in the proposed plan, as far as the rezoning, it can be subdivided into three properties, right, for example. And so there are three proposed dwellings, and there is a minimum two septic system. Let's just say there are two septic systems set up in two of the properties. Can they be servicing? Is it okay to be servicing that one facility if that one facility is in the third property? Can the septic system in the two properties servicing that third dwelling in the third property? Is that okay?
Commissioner Rafferty, I can answer that. I do not believe that Department of Health regulations allow for a system on one property to service a home on another property. So if they were to subdivide into 3 lots, they would have to create a third system to service that third structure.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments on the staff presentation? If not, we will go on to the applicant's presentation. Mr. Sidney Fouquet, agent for the applicant, Darren Arai, agent for the applicant, and Raja Dagula, the applicant. Please, you're all off the air. You need to come on. Please raise your right hand so I can swear you in. I see Mr. Dagula, but not Mr. Fuki or Mr. Arai.
Mr. Chair, I think it might be your view. I see all of them. Maybe change
Oh.
your view from maybe to a gallery view up top right-hand corner.
Yeah, it says gallery, but they're blacked out. Okay. I will ask Mr. Rapafi, since I can see him, if he will watch the applicants. Please raise your right hand so
Yes,
I
sir.
can swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission? Please state your name and the town you live in when you begin. Have you received the background recommendation from the planning department? Do you agree with the planning department's recommendations, including proposed conditions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead with your presentation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
you get to swear them in first. They've been raising
that's
their.
what I was doing. Okay. I'll do it
But Chair,
again.
point of order, you don't need to say the name. Can you guys just for the record acknowledge that you're swearing? With a I do or a yes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, yeah, all three of them affirm.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure what's happening here, but Mr. Aguinaldo might need to step in. I don't know. Okay, so please begin your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Darren Arai. I'm a land use planning consultant. Joining me today online is Sydney Fouquet, planning consultant, and the both of us are assisting the applicant Raja Dagla and Shalini Kapoor. Unfortunately, Mrs. Kapoor is not available this morning, so online with us is Mr. Dagla. We have received the director's background and recommendation reports, and we do appreciate the favorable recommendation, as well as agree to the recommendation and the proposed conditions of approval. We note that we acknowledge also the findings of the planning director that the proposed rezoning is in compliance with both the general plan, the Puna Community Development Plan, and the draft volcano long range plan. And we do appreciate the staff's presentation that also found consistency of the project with the short-term vacation rental law, at least the rezoning, the intent behind the rezoning request. Throughout this process, the applicant clearly acknowledged the concerns expressed by the Volcano Community Association, as well as some members of the community, and which prompted them to meet with the association on September the 23rd. We found the meeting to be very productive. There was a lot of dialogue going back and forth, and we truly appreciated the concerns being expressed by the association members. And with that, it prompted further discussion between the applicant and Sydney and myself to explore opportunities where we could try to address the concerns of the community while continuing to promote the wishes and the vision that Mr. Dagla had for this particular property. And that basically, when we discovered that the association no longer felt that it would be a fruitful dialogue as long as the short-term vacation rental component of the project remained in place. While it was unfortunate that the applicant did continue to pursue opportunities in addressing those concerns, which were realized in letters that we provided to the director on dated September 14 and October the 11th. We do understand that you just received a copy of the October 11 letter just this morning, and we apologize for the delay and the oversight. But it really does summarize the position of the applicant, given all of the concerns and in some ways, the mischaracterization of the applicant's intent. And I won't go ahead and repeat it for the sake of brevity, but the most recent letter dated October 11 really lays things out, in our opinion, quite well. In the end, the applicant is doing exactly what the short-term vacation rental law was intended to achieve, which is to focus these type of transient accommodations in areas that can support it, primarily resort designated areas and commercial areas, which is why the applicant felt that applying for a change of zone is the most transparent way of pursuing this request, because it allowed for community dialogue, public notice, public hearings, and vetting of the project by many reviewing agencies as well as the county. So, it's a very, very transparent process. The applicant also put a lot of effort in continually revising his proposals, not only in the modification of the site plan in order to consolidate, readjust, and reduce the scale of the project, but also to introduce components that would try to address some of the concerns from the community, namely the preservation of the ohia canopy, as well as the noise and traffic concerns. So you will even note that as in response to the noise concerns, the hosted component of the was also introduced and considered by the applicant. Now, granted, it would render it no longer a short-term vacation rental, as was discussed just earlier in this presentation. But the fact is, it demonstrates where every step along the way, the applicant is trying to find those mutually beneficial opportunities to address the concerns of the community, as well as to promote and hopefully achieve what the applicant wishes for this property. So anyway, we do believe that it's the request is a proper land use pattern within this portion of Volcano that is designated as a community village center. And we do appreciate the favorable recommendation from the planning director and hopefully a likewise consideration from the commission. So with that, I stand ready to answer any questions you may have. And if Mr. Fouquet may want to add on to my presentation, that would be more than welcome.
I'm sorry, like I'm holding this because, I'm kind of like at a place, there's a lot of noise and I'm trying to be really quiet. So, but at any rate, I just wanted to provide some background for the commission because this is a project Mr. Dagula had approached me, and it's amounted to like my being like the quarterback and I lateral the football to Mr. Ryan. And that's the reason why Darren is kind of like taken over the project, but I feel somewhat responsible. So I kind of wanted to, I've been kind of like, tagging along with Darren when there's a meeting with the community association, and also in discussions with the architect or the design of the project. And just to, when Mr. Dagula first approached me and then subsequently, together with Darren, his primary intent was to construct 3 separate single-family dwellings on the property and have that operate purely as a short-term vacation rental. And as the staff kind of pointed out, short-term vacation rental does not require any of the owner or a resident manager to be on the property. And as a result, you can have a lot of these kind of concerns, noises, so on and so forth. And so based on the comments that we received, the written testimony, so we kind of went back to the drawing board and then we said like, no, what we need to do is to have a hosted vacation rental, largely because if you have a hosted, then there's some controls in terms of who are the occupants of the project, and thus minimizing some kind of impact to the surrounding property owners. So then there was also the concern about, like the excessive size of the structures such that it's going to denude most of the property. So the original plan essentially called for like 3 separate structures with a footprint of approximately 5,500 square feet. So then we went kind of back and, we went back and forth. And essentially then he scaled down to what you see right now, essentially about a 3,500 square foot with 3 structures. So that's his intent. Bottom line today, where you have is like, if you can look at his project as being like a 6-room bed and breakfast operation housed within 3 structures. That is ultimately, at the end of the day, if everything goes according to his desire and subject to the commission and the council's approval, will exactly be what it wanted. Now, I'm kind of like reminded of a situation where, like in our neighborhood currently, there was this 1-acre property and had some ohia and fern trees similar to this property. And one day I walked through that area and I noticed that the entire property was totally bulldozed, was cleared. And so this is a situation based on existing law. What Mr. Dagula is currently enabled, he can take out a grading permit and then bulldoze the entire property and then construct 2 dwellings on it and operate it as a hosted. But as Darren had indicated, this is not his intention. His intention is to respect what the community wants to a large extent in terms of forestry preservation, go through the process, be very transparent, and saying that this is going to be operated as a hosted STVR. And in so doing, going in with the commercial rezoning. I think that if this rezoning is denied, and he just operates based on the existing rule, there is a good chance that the mitigation that the staff is recommending, as represented in condition C, D, L, M, N, O, and P, basically they all go away. They all go away. But with this rezoning, there's an opportunity to exercise some measure of control relative to the design of the structures and the respect for the native flora and fauna of the property, all embodied within the existing conditions. So with that, my wife who's sitting in the back of me, she said, I'm talking too loud, so I guess I gotta shut up now. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Fouquet. Is that it for your presentation, Mr. Arai?
Yes. Thank you.
Fellow commissioners, questions for the applicant? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Al.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Dagula. It's nice hearing from the consultants. But if you could just make a few comments on what Mr. Fouquet and Mr. Rai just said about your commitment to addressing the community's concern.
Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to present myself. This is Raja, and currently, I'm the applicant for this zoning change. And yes, we went through a couple of iterations with the VCA and Sydney, Darren, and everyone, just to make sure that that we actually do this right. Go through the zoning process, make sure that we actually adhere to all the things that are recommended from the Planning Commission, and put those things, put those recommendations in the project going forward. So I just like some of the things that Darren and Sydney already mentioned, and I will be we actually looked at it several times, and did couple of changes to it, adjustments to make sure that some of the issues were addressed. So we'll continue doing that, and hopefully get a favorable recommendation from the city council as well as the planning commission.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Okay, I will
Yeah.
enter. Yes, Ms.
I do.
Galimba.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask. So, Mr. Fouquet presented sort of two scenarios. One of them being an approval of your rezone with conditions, and the other being in the case of denial. I was just wondering if you agree that would be sort of you sort of agree with those scenarios. In other words, from my understanding of our discussion, you could have a hosted vacation rental even under the residential zoning. But you would be able to bulldoze the forest. No, so that's not something that you're planning to do.
No. Actually, in fact, if when I actually tried to purchase the property, there are 2 lots in the back as well. The lots in the back were actually cleared. I mean, they did that to actually build a house. The one in the middle and then the one in the back actually still is forested. The plan is not to do that at all. There are other opportunities where I could buy the land without the cover. The point I'm trying to do here or whatever is to basically have like a tree house kind of a concept. I can send you those pictures if the planning commission wants. I was in talks with the bamboo kind of housing in Pahova. But that's not the intention at all. If that was the intention, I would have actually bought the one that is, in Pahova. There are certain, some lands without the, in commercial zoning, I think, are close to it without the forest cover. But that is not the intention at all. I mean, I think Sydney was actually making a point. I don't think he wants to have this happen, or neither do me or Darren. All of us really don't want to do anything like that. It actually defeats the purpose of what we are trying to achieve here. And that's the whole point of actually selecting this thing, to have smaller structures. The structures will be even smaller than what was represented in there. But I didn't want to go back to the planner and actually get it done. This will be I can send you some of those pictures if the planning commission wants, but that's not the intention at all.
If I might also add, is like his original plan was to have like a single story, and then however that would mean a greater footprint on the ground. So his revised concept now is to have it multi-level 2-story, and that reduces the amount of area that would have to be denuded.
And the forest cover is essential. Actually, it is very essential to the project. So that's what I'm trying to.
And if I could, sorry.
Now,
Go ahead, Mr. Fouquet.
I was just also going to mention that it is Mr. Dagula's ultimate intent to live in the village. So, contrary to some of the, statements made that, he's kind of like an out-of-state person and has basically no allow for the property, that would be farthest from the truth.
Thank you. Anything else, fellow commissioners? Questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion for action.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Al.
I move for a favorable recommendation before you to the County Council on application change of zone docket resolution 21-000249 based on the planning director's recommendation and proposed conditions which shall be adopted.
A second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Au and seconded by Commissioner Aguinaldo that the applicant's proposal be accepted with the conditions presented by the planning department. Is there any discussion on this? Yes, Mr. Clarkson.
Well, I really am appreciative of the concerns from the people who testified against the rezone. To me, you know, we not too long ago rezoned the adjacent parcel for exactly the same kinds of reasons that Mr. Dagula wants to rezone this. I just can't see why the proposal of having a hospitality, a small vacation rental, small hotel next to another existing small lodge or hotel doesn't make sense. You know, this is in the commercial center as described, or village center as described by the community. I just don't see any reason why we shouldn't approve this rezone. We might want to, I apologize for not being familiar with the road frontage issue and sidewalks, but I think we should ask the same thing of Mr. Dagula that we asked of Kilauea Lodge in terms of waiting until the road is widened and frontages before requiring roadside improvements. But anyway, those are my reasons why I seconded the motion.
Commissioner Clarkson, if I just might add really quick that we did add in the exact same condition that the neighboring property has regarding the roadway improvements. So it's identical to the similar rezone just next door. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to help provide that clarity.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Au.
So I'd like to share why I support my motion. I share the same sentiments as Commissioner Clarkson. I think this project, I think this rezone is appropriate for the area. I think the proposed project, the proposed development is appropriate for all the reasons that Commissioner Clarkson stated. You know, and I like to take it a little bit further. You know, we need to boost our economy. You know, we need to show the world how beautiful our volcano is and how beautiful our Hawaii island is. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why Mr. Dagula wants to do this and give people a nice experience here so they can continue to come back and continue to give back to our economy. So I just wanted to say why I support my motion. So thank you.
Anything further? Anybody else? Comments? Ms. Kalimba.
Well, I appreciate the comments made by fellow commissioners. I will be voting against it because I think we're sort of at a inflection point, and perhaps this wasn't the case when these community development plans were made, in which I think people in our communities have become much more sensitive to the impact of tourism, basically, on our communities. So I think I want to honor that sentiment. So I will be voting against it, just to let you know beforehand what my reasons are.
Yes, Mr. Aguinaldo.
I would like to also, say that my reasoning for voting for this is based upon zoning first. It's just zoning. And I appreciate the applicant coming forward and going the extra mile, which he didn't have to, if like what was said, he didn't have to. And I also appreciate, yes, the community has to voice their concerns as well. And about, the native ohia trees and so forth, which is truly understandable, pertaining to that matter. But my vote decision was based upon when I did ask Eric that it falls within, I just see that page 136, it falls within the preliminary volcano community village center boundary of, what is he trying to achieve. And again, if this goes forward, the applicant has to abide by all the rules and requirements necessary that is being said. When I say said, is being said and stated on paper today. And that's my reasoning. And, Raj, I just like to share also is the integrity and the honesty of anyone that must uphold when achieving and getting something, because it affects your surrounding neighbors. It could be me, that what they said about Pono is being good and being fair and being one within your community. And for that reason is my decision, because it falls within, I look at it is within the dash line. It's within the Puna Community Development Plan. And that's my what I just had to share today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguinaldo. Anything else? Yes, Mr. Rapafi.
Ask one question before I make my comment. Staff, so let me just make sure I understand this before I make a comment. So the landowner has an option. He can decide to, let's say if these things doesn't go through, he can decide to just he can proceed with a plan, a hosted vacation rentals, and he doesn't have to comply. As long as he's hosting it, he doesn't have to comply with any other conditions, right? Is that what I understand?
Yes, Commissioner Rafapi, that's correct. That right now we currently do not have laws or codes in place that are governing the operation of hosted rentals. Because his state land use is urban, it does not prevent him from doing a hosted rental. If his state land use had been agricultural, it would be disallowed. But because of the designations the property does hold, whether or not he does receive the change of zone, he would be eligible to then operate a hosted rental on that property.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That answered my question. Yeah, my comment on this is that, as much as I really understand the plight of the neighbors and the community around, I'm kind of torn. I really wanted to support the members, but at the same time, I feel like if I support the community members by staying down, then the property owner he can come in and just do everything that the community members wanted to uphold. So at least if we change the zoning to this, there's some kind of restrictions, some kind of conditions that the planning department is imposing, and the property owner is say that they agree to do these conditions. So I with that understanding right now, I'm going to vote in favor, just so that there's some kind of conditions there to is the other option is he bulldozed the whole area. I don't want that. So I'm gonna vote in favor of the rezoning just so that it can be, so there's some kind of conditions to the activities happening on the property. Thank you.
Excuse me,
Chair.
Mr. Arai, you had a comment earlier?
Yes, sorry, thank you. Just for the sake of complete transparency and clarity, I wanted to clarify that the change of zone as presented would allow for, was representing 3 short-term vacation rental units. If the zoning does not go forward, then the existing single-family residential zoning could allow up to 2 single-family residential units. So again, the rezoning, the difference between the two comes down to basically 1 additional unit that could be used as a short-term vacation rental. I just wanted to make that clear so everyone really understood the scope.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Au.
So for further discussion, I would just like to, add a few comments to Commissioner Galimba's concerns, about the community, as well as Commissioner Rafferty's concerns about the community. We, us commissioners, all of the commissioners here, we do really care about you and the community. And there's safeguards in place in the conditions that the applicant had approved upon. They are more and over and beyond of what they can actually do right now. So the developer does have the community's best interest in mind. But as a landowner, the developer has rights as well. So he's expressing his rights as well as the community is expressing their rights to oppose or support a development or a rezone. But I think the developer is going out and beyond and doing what they can to address, but at the same time to do what they want to do and to move forward their vision that they have of the property. So just want to make that comment to Commissioner Galimba. All of our input, all commissioners' input is very important because we do represent the community. So thank you, Commissioner Galimba.
Thank you, Mr. Au. Mr. Clarkson.
Yeah, just one last very quick
No,
response
take your time.
to Commissioner Galimba that I agree with her about the impact of tourism on Hawaii Island, and in a way how wonderful it was to go to the beach in the middle of the pandemic and find nobody but myself and my spouse there. But the benefit of the rezone is that it will allow other options for this property should circumstances warrant. This is the village commercial center, and if for whatever reason tourism fades away in Hawaii, then there will be the opportunity for other businesses in this location. And even the testifiers from, one of the testifiers from the community association was all in favor of those kinds of businesses, just not the vacation rental. But if it were me, I'd rather have a vacation rental next door rather than a grocery store, but or even a doctor's office. But anyway, that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Clarkson. Anything else? Yes,
Well,
Ms. Galimba.
I think I hear y'all, and it's in some ways it's a little bit of a moot point whether we change it or not. I think, it is important, I think he can do his vacation rental either way. It's just a matter of 2 houses or 3. And I think in both cases, I think it was Commissioner Alginaldo that was urging him to, be in harmony with with the community that he's hoping to join. And I would join Commissioner Alginaldo in that. And I think, in Hawaii, we have a tradition of working together with our community, which is kind of unique. And part of it is, it's not in the laws, it's unwritten, and that's as important as anything. So I want to say that this is not my vote is not sort of against the developer or the landowner in any way. It's simply a sort of a decision, and it's a very sort of on the fence sort of decision, and I'm just sort of a little bit on this side.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, if I might make my comments, I agree that not for me at this moment, but things have changed here, and within our state, we're talking about a new face of tourism and a new way of taking care of our natural resources, protecting them. We can't forget where we live, way out here. We're one of the most isolated places on the planet. And just because we have laws and regulations that were made in the past, it's the past that has brought us, I think, as a planet globally to this point of things are changing, and we just cannot keep doing business as usual. And I don't know that laws can keep up with that. And so approving or disapproving at this point, Mr. Dagula is offering, I think, possibly the best option for that property. And it could serve as a good example of a way to do it. But I am short of not allowing any building. I don't know how you can stop doing this right at the moment. This is something that's weighed on me through my whole time here. And more importantly, in watching our agricultural lands be zoned into residential or commercial, we have to really put on the brakes or figure out a way to do this. I think Mr. Dagula is offering a good way. I want to believe that. Anyway, that's just, I guess I'm pontificating, but that's how I feel about this thing. And I don't know how I'm going to vote yet. Anyway, are there any more comments? We have a motion on the floor, moved
Chair.
by Mr. Yes?
The
Oh, I'm
applicant-
sorry, Mr. Dagula. Please go ahead.
So I understand what Ms. Kalimba has said. Is there anything that we can do in the plans that will maybe get her approval? Is there something that we can change, or is there something that I can do right now to get her approval, because I really like what she's saying, but I'm just trying here. So
Um,
I just wanted to respond to Mr. Zagula. I honestly, I don't know that there is, and in a sense, we're not supposed to be making a decision on your site plan so much as the change of zone. I guess, I'm listening to the community, and I live in the district, so it has a special resonance for me. I understand that community pretty well, even though I don't live there. I'm not, so I want to, trust that you're going to do the best for the land either way. So I guess what would help me to change my mind would be to go back out and sort of have you change the mind in the community that what you're going to be doing is very much, in line with their vision. That's pretty much what I would need. So thanks for asking.
Mr. Dagula.
so I tried to approach the Vulcan community, VCA community. We actually had a I think couple of hours of discussion, and we wanted to go back to them to actually see what are the other things that we can do, but I can think that request was denied, saying that as long as there is an STVR component to the land or the zoning, they're not going to, they felt that it's a waste of everyone's time. I was hoping that we could have come to some understanding. In these conversations, people said they would like to have a coffee shop or a bookstore or a doctor's office or like many things, but no one, then I asked them, like, is there one thing that you wanted, and there was no real consensus. And I tried that approach as well. And I think Sydney is here, or I'm not sure if he's here or not, but Darren is here. Maybe we didn't put that in the discussion or in the comments section of what we have written, but we actually did go back, and we tried going back again. That's the reason we pushed the November meeting to December, because we were hoping that we will get at least another chance, if not two, to talk to the VCA the community, but unfortunately that was turned down. Maybe we'll have the opportunity going forward as well, because we don't want to cut that conversation off. I just want to continue that conversation and see if and take this forward. And if everyone if no one is willing to talk to me, I really can't really do much. I mean, maybe that's because I'm outside, so I don't know. I tried, and I'll keep trying until I find a way to get to them, I guess. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Dagula. Well spoken. Anything else? Okay. So we will staff, will you do a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so a roll call vote to approve the change of zone request as recommended by the planning director.
Excuse me. Sorry, I just want to clarify the motion. It's to send a favorable recommendation to the county council as recommended by the planning director.
Yes.
I apologize. Yes. Okay, so Commissioner Dean Au. Aye. Commissioner Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Commissioner Clarkson.
He said aye.
Oh,
Would
okay.
you're muted, Joe.
I'll say aye again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Galimba.
No.
Commissioner Lynn. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Lynn is excused. Commissioner Rafferty.
Aye.
And Chair Replogle.
No.
Okay. Motion carries with 4 aye and 2 no to forward a favorable recommendation to the County Council for the change of zone request.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dagula and Mr. Arai and Mr. Fouquet for your presentation.
Thank you for your vote, and happy holidays, and to the departing commissioners, Chair Replogle, Commissioner Clarkson, and Commissioner Rafferty. Thank you for your service to the community, and I'm glad that I had the pleasure of working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
before we carry on, could I request maybe a 5-minute recess?
yes, you may. We will have a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
All those in favor, start now. We'll
Aye.
see you in 5.
Hey, I have a comment. I might be cutting out. I'm on the road right now, so please excuse me if we get cut
Okay.
off.
Okay. Okay, if everybody can come back.
Chair, Commissioner Galimba called me and told me that she had another meeting, so she had to leave.
Okay, do we still have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Well, we know who the next chair is going to be, don't we?
I warned her of that. I said, usually if you're not around, you get elected chair or vice chair. So, but she had to run.
Okay, is everybody, okay, there's Mr. Owl.
Let's just make sure that Tom is with us.
Tom, are you with us? Come in, Major Tom.
Okay, we need to have Commissioner Rafferty before we can start for quorum.
Okay.
Chair Rapogo,
Yes,
when Commissioner Rafferty comes in, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I'm here. I'm here.
okay. I thought we were voting.
I think we need to make a proposed slate first, right? Are we on? Is that correct? Are we on elections of officers or not yet? I'm sorry, Chair.
No, we're still voting. No. We're going to the planning director's report now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay. I got confused myself. So, Mr. Kern.
I can respond to that, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So we had planned to send out the special management area log for the commission. It's been several months since we provided that to you because we switched over to the new Epic permitting system. We have learned how to create the log in Epic. We did create the logs a day or two ago, but we forgot to transmit them to you. So as soon as we get out of this meeting, we will send you the SMA assessment log and the SMA short form logs. And then if you have any questions after looking at those logs, just give me a call. And from here going forward, we will continue to provide monthly logs for the commission. and you should receive them a few days prior to your Windward meeting.
Will the Epic form be a little, will be different from the Excel spreadsheet that we usually receive in the past?
No, actually, it's identical.
Okay.
It just pulls the information from the fields in Epic and puts it in the same format. So it should be really easy to read. And I think we highlight the Windward side applications in yellow, like we used to in the past.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
wait a minute. Surely if you've got a database linked program to generate a report, you can just toggle Windward, Leeward and leave the Leeward off of our log and leave the Windward off of their log. Can't you?
We can do that if you have no interest in seeing all of the SMA permitting for the island. We can just limit it to.
Well, okay.
Very good point, Ms. Jackson.
It's up to the commission how they would like to see the information.
I think they should see it all so they can see it disappearing. All right. Let's move on to election of officers. And we can start, I guess, with who you would like to have as your next chairman.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
I'd like
Owl.
to make a proposed slate or make a motion, whatever you think is appropriate. I would like to nominate myself as chair of the Planning Commission. And maybe through discussion, because both of them are not here, maybe you can choose who could be vice, whether it's Commissioner Galimba or Commissioner Aguinaldo.
Or Commissioner Lin.
Oh, yes, or Commissioner Lin.
Okay, so we have a proposal, motion, nomination for Mr. Owl. Are there any other nominations?
Well,
Yes,
Commissioner Aguinaldo was vice chair this last year.
yes.
So neither Commissioner Au nor Commissioner Lin nor Galimba have been in the chair or vice chair position recently. Commissioner Au's willingness to be chair is admirable. Does anybody have any idea about the preferences of either Galimba and Lin for vice chair? No? Well, then I propose Commissioner to balance the chairmanship by gender.
Wait, are you on to the vice chairman now? We're taking care
Yes,
of the
yes,
chair.
I'm on
We're
to
voting
the.
on the, we're voting on the chairman now.
Oh,
Do you have a proposal for another? Is there somebody?
no, I don't. I thought we were
Okay.
putting on a slate.
Oh, no. I didn't quite follow that either. Okay. Well, Mr. Owl would have been my choice, so congratulations, Mr. Owl. Oh, should we vote?
Yes, I was just gonna say that, Chair. We need to take a
Okay.
vote first.
All those in favor of Mr. Owl being the chairman of the Windward Planning Commission next year, say aye.
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 Okay, very good. Now, for the vice chair, the floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Commissioner Galimba.
Any other nominations? I will nominate Dennis Lin. Okay, now we can vote. All those in favor?
Sorry, Chair, because
Oh,
you've
I'm
made
sorry.
two nominations, you now have to have a voice vote. Roll
Oh,
call.
okay, okay,
Sorry,
roll call. Roll call vote, please.
When you make your vote, you name the commissioner that you'd like as vice chair.
Okay.
Question. Being that I see only 4 of us, will that just a simple majority, or do we still need to conform with 4 being the majority?
Oh. Can I withdraw my nomination?
You can if you feel so moved.
I would if there's going to be a problem.
Usually a action of the commission takes 4 votes.
Okay, let's vote and see. We can vote again.
Okay.
I'm not going to withdraw. So let's do the roll call.
Okay.
Well, let's look at our rules for, does it say a majority of those present or a majority of the commission for electing officers? I don't have them in front of me. I can go pick them.
Mr. Chair, I got a question.
Yes, please.
Since both commissioners are not present, can I just give my quick input or my quick comment about who should fill the position?
I'm thinking about that.
Can I just share my thoughts with my fellow
Yes,
commissioners?
please. You may share your thoughts. You may campaign.
Okay. As a commissioner junkie, I've been on commissions for many, many years. When our director was on this commission, and I first met Maya and the staff, and I just think that Commissioner Galimba, her turn would be up right now. She was on the commission prior to Commissioner Lin. So I just think, just that alone, she should be the vice, is my comments.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, let's chance them. Do the roll call vote, please.
Okay. This is to nominate Commissioner Galimba as vice chair. Commissioner Au.
We're supposed to vote for one or the other.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought we were doing.
Sorry, you're doing a roll call and they state which commissioner they choose as vice chair.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try that again.
Okay.
Commissioner Au.
Commissioner Galimba, please.
Okay. Commissioner Clarkson.
You got to turn on your thing.
Am I muted?
Yeah, now you're not.
Okay. Commissioner Galimba.
Commissioner Rafferty.
Commissioner Galimba.
And Chair Rep Logel.
Commissioner Galimba.
All right, the motion carries for Commissioner Galimba to be our next vice chair.
Yay! Okay.
I will
Are
just
there-
add one thing, sorry, that her nomination is and her election is subject to her approval and acceptance. So I would just lay that out there just in case she decides that she doesn't want to take that position.
Okay.
Mr.
We
Chair.
won't tell her till later.
Mr. Chair. I have a
Yes, Mr.
comment.
Al.
So I
Go
just want
ahead.
to thank you all for giving me this prestigious opportunity I'm amongst 3 prior chairs for our commission with Rapogo, Commissioner Clarkson, and Commissioner Rafferty, and I hope I can follow in your footsteps and do well. So thank you.
Thank you. Kind words.
Yes, indeed.
Staff, is there any agenda meeting items for the next meeting?
Yes, we have 2. We have a rezone in Pahoa, and we have a special permit in Orchid Land, Ainaloa.
Thank you. Announcements. The Windward Planning Commission's next monthly meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 6, 2022 by interactive video conference via Zoom. Got that? If there is no further business, may I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Chair, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Wait.
Could I ask a few questions, Mr. Chair?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure Commissioner Clarkson is going to ask the same question, but are we planning, are there any discussions to go live and have and have live meetings?
I'll
I
answer
think-
that. Sorry, Maya.
Go ahead,
Go
Maya.
ahead.
So the Sunshine Law, like I stated earlier, will be changing effective January 1st. The commission, if meeting by Zoom or any type of interactive technology, will need to have at least one public location open to the public to come to. With that said, commissioners, if you are planning to appear in person, would also appear at that public location. And so there will be basically it will be a hybrid meeting, because we will be required by law to open a place for the public, for those people who don't have Zoom or Wi-Fi access to come in.
Mr. Chair, so
Yes.
Malia, so if we do remote, then we have to provide that. But we also have the opportunity coming up that we could go back to in-person, right? So it's a change to the remote, and then we will also then we're having a larger conversation on when's the right, how do we do that moving forward? Do we go back to in-persons? Do we do the hybrid? Because it's obviously a hybrid moving forward regardless, right? And so I think at monitoring the COVID situation beginning first quarter, we'll have a better determination on whether it makes sense to move more towards in-person or keep with the hybrid, obviously honoring the new Sunshine Law. Does the commission, I'm curious if the commission has any thoughts on that.
I have kind of a question. So what Malia said is the county will provide a site where people who don't have Zoom can go, and there'll be a Zoom thing that they can take part with?
Yeah, so what we're thinking is,
testifying or whatever?
correct. So it'd be
And
similar to
then
how
the
we
rest
did it.
of us would be like we are right now?
That's the bare minimum, yes.
Okay, okay. And the other option is we just have public meetings again, or stay as we are. No, we can't stay as we are. We have to provide the public. Okay. Okay, I just want to understand that. So where were we? What are we?
Does the commissioner have a preference of in-person or continue Zoom?
I'd like to add into that conversation. I'd like to go back to in-person at some point. Director Kern has said that there's a larger conversation. I would like to see when staff and when the mayor feels that's the safest. And then maybe we can decide as a commission. But I personally like to engage the community. I like to see all of you guys in person. I like to see the heartfelt testimonies from the testifiers is my preference.
I concur. I think in person is better.
I think it is.
I would like to ask, or in your discussions that you're going to be holding, Mr. Kern, could being vaccinated be required if you are attending these personal meetings, or are we getting into that whole battle?
Yeah, that's part of the bigger discussion with the the administration and whatnot. I can't speak to that exactly yet.
No, I understand, but those things are being considered.
Yeah, those are all the various things being considered, and really just watching the variance, right? We kind of at one point during this year we thought we were getting back to business as usual, and the next thing you know, the Delta variant hit, and we really had to pull back. So just trying to avoid the back and forth and try to move forward in the most responsible manner, all the way with obviously serving our community, which also entails the safety factor of it as well.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense to me. Mr. Clarkson.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that in terms of our interactions together as staff and commissioners, this video conferencing is perfectly fine with me, and it's, boy, is it convenient to not have to drive to Hilo and back. But it's very obvious that it's completely suppressed public testimony before the commission. I mean, we get a handful of testifiers, even on very contentious things, which would have filled up the conference room before. So it's, in a way, it's doing the public a disservice to rely on this exclusively. Although perhaps if there's video conferencing that's really good with large screens where the people that are in a remote location can see everybody clearly and hear them perfectly clearly, that might be enough. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So, I think we should continue to move toward having a live meeting. However, I think we are at the same time we need to move cautiously, because I don't know how this Omicron thing that just came on. We don't know how contagious it is. And we don't know. We don't want to compromise safety of everybody else. So I would say, yeah, we should move toward that, the light, but at the same time we need to move cautiously. Thank you.
Thank you. And I agree with you on that. So
just real
yes.
quick, thank you all for that feedback. Very, very helpful in moving forward. Appreciate it.
So before we adjourn, I would like to say, seriously, thank you all for your support during this past year. And yeah, it's been interesting. So if there's no further, yes?
Just one little clarification, because this carryover is for a maximum of 3 months, not until our position is filled, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
You're off the hook, Mr. Clarkson.
Well, no.
I know.
I have to drive to Hilo three times.
There was somebody that said, or until the position is filled, and I wanted to make sure that was incorrect.
No, that's correct. So with planning commissions, it's a maximum of 3 months. With a community development action committee, those can go further. So that's where maybe somebody might have been.
Well, to add on to that, it's basically you stay on for 90 days extra, or until your position is filled, whichever is sooner. That they forgot that piece, whichever is sooner. So if you're filled within a month, then sorry.
Thank
but
you.
have fun, everybody.
Okay. If there's no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by Mr. Clarkson and seconded by Mr. Rapafi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned at 11:23 a.m. Hasta luego, baby.
Happy holidays, you all. Thank you.
Have a good new year.
Ahuyo.
Thank you, John, for all of your great
Okay.
chairmanship.
Yes, mahalo, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay, aloha.